Hello everybody and welcome to Wine Library TV. I am your host, the new lower cholesterol version, Gary Vaynerchuk. So, as many of you know, let me get the papers. Let me get the papers. Where are the papers? No.
Is it an envelope?
No. Sorry. I got my cholesterol scores back, and Kahuna, you're finished. My bad cholesterol went down from 202, my LDL, to 142. Overall, the doctor is shocked. And you know, I got some guns too. This exercise thing is working. I'm eating fresh fruit, veggies, and Kahuna is finished. It's over. So for many of you that are new fans of WLTV, you may not know, I got some bad cholesterol back in January, some scores that really kind of dieted. If you want to see some fun transformation, watch some old episodes about 40, 50, 60 ago. Anyway, God, January, scary. So, I've got a very interesting episode. Obviously, I'm fatiguing now. I'm taping my 7th episode or 6th episode. 7th, right? 6th? 7th? 6th. 6th episode, and I think 7th, actually. No? Well, whatever. And I'm starting to fatigue, as you can tell. I'm getting a loopy. I cannot wait. You're going to have a lot of fun watching Thursday and Fridays and Monday and Tuesday and Wednesdays of next week's episodes, because it could get real interesting here in the next couple of hours. But I've got a really cool theme, I think a very awesome idea. We're going to be tasting a classic, America's Chianti, as I like to call it. This is the Ruffino Gold 2003 99 version of the same exact wine, and I think that should be very, very interesting, and really kind of proves a lot of things about wine, how different from vintage to vintage they can be, or maybe how similar they can be. So, obviously Chianti Classico is a big thing, and, I wanted to do a wine in this series that was widely available. These wines are found everywhere. I mean, geez, you can find these, like, at the candy store, and so they're very widely available and very intriguing wines, and without further ado, let's jump directly into the wines. As you can see, I'm a little giddy about my results, so I'm in a good mood. This is the 1999 Ruffino Riserva Ducale Chianti Classico, and this is the $30 price point Chianti, 99 vintage, which is a really good Tuscan vintage, and I'm excited about that. As a matter of fact, let's do this. I'm leaving you guys a whole lot on this episode, and this is the 2003 Riserva Ducale Gold, and this one is $27.09 actually. Let's give this a little bit of it. What we're gonna do is we're gonna battle royal. How are we gonna make this? This is nice. Looks good. Good. All right. I'm gonna battle royal a little bit. So, looking at the color, I think that there's an advantage. Let me dump a little out just to make sure it's not against anything. You ever watch Mr. Wizard on Nickelodeon? Okay, on a color scale, they're very, very close, very, very similar in color. Really almost identical. Let's give the 99 a smell. Classic Chianti smell. Really, really nice spiciness, sour cherry, but definitely a manure aspect coming through. I mean, the cows did the poopy thing, no doubt, on the vineyards here. And so there is definitely an earthy, poopy, mushroomy kind of smell in this nose. Absolutely. Mixed with a little spearmint even. A little tinginess there. And the 2003. Completely different. This smells a little bit more like an evergreen forest. Totally different. Again, very dirty and earthy here. Much more of an evergreen aspect coming through in here. I'm getting a little bit of a mint clove as well, mint leaf, excuse me, in here, and a little bit of a dark chocolate component, but obviously very, very different wines on the nose. Let's give it a whirl. Tremendously polished sour cherry is the first tasting profile I get from that. I'm going to bounce over here now. The tannins are much more firm. There's more of a sour asparagus component going on here. The heat is shooting through more on here. The 99 Sangiovese is much cleaner and more explosive. I really enjoy the fruit forwardness of this really dark cherry. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of Ruffino Gold. As a matter of fact, I'm really not a fan at all, but I've got to be honest with you. This 99, maybe it's the aging of it, or maybe it's just the way it's showing now, or maybe just it was great from the get-go. I don't really remember it. It's a very polished, serious Chianti. Back to the 03. You might remember that 03 was a very hot vintage in Italy, and there's some difficult aspects to this wine. I think it's almost like overripe and sour, completely disjointed. I don't really find it finding its way whatsoever at all. These are two very different wines. Really, really interesting. I guess what we're going to have to say here clearly is that the 99 has knocked out the 2003 very easily. I'm going to score the 99 Chianti Classico, actually, with its depth and structure, sour cherry, and a little bit of pepper on the finish, a 90-point wine. I'm very enthusiastic over the overall quality, and I think the years of aging has really, really done it some wonders. I think the 03 is over hot, and definitely really affected by the heat of this vintage. Italy doesn't really know how to deal with the super ripe heat, especially in Tuscany. I thought it was way too hot, that vintage, and it's really coming through on the mouthfeel. I'm going to score this wine 84 points. I think it's really quite despicable. Okay, so a lot of fun there doing the head-to-head battle. Really just quite interesting, you know, watching the same exact wine from you know, 2 different years react and totally bring different things to the table. I think that's what makes wine very intimidating, the fact that it changes every year. And so really what I'm going to ask you on our question today is, what is your favorite year? What age was your life the best? Because you, head-to-head matchups, and a tiny, tiny, tiny piece of me and your 2 cents, remember? Sometimes 3 cents. We're changing the wine world.